It was a Friday. The kind of day that should have been all about last-minute wedding stuff. Florists, seating charts, 100 tiny things that don't matter until they do. Our wedding was a week away. Just 7 days until we said I do. Carla and I met out at the venue, a barn an hour from the city, kind of rustic, pretty in a Pinterest way. We were there for our final planning meeting. Not that it was really final. Everything was happening fast. 4 months of planning crammed into a few crazy weeks. We drove separately. She'd come straight from her new job. She'd only been there maybe 6 weeks. The meeting dragged. Flowers, food, tables, more flowers. I was halfway out the door, ready to call it a day, when Carla looked at me with that sweet, easy smile. Like nothing in the world could possibly be wrong. "Oh, babe," she said like she just remembered. "My friend Sarah needs to drop off her rental car nearby. Could you give her a ride home? It's super close to us. And you know Sarah." "Yeah, sure. No big deal," I told her. I didn't even think twice. Sarah was harmless. One of those slightly spacey college friends. A quick ride home didn't seem like anything. I got home around 5:30, figured she'd be back maybe an hour later. Enough time to drop Sarah off and swing home. 6:30 passed, then 7. By 7:30, I started feeling it, that slow, sinking pressure in my chest. I tried calling Carla, straight to voicemail. Texted, nothing. That wasn't like her. She's usually glued to her phone like it's a lifeline. By 8, still no word. I gave in and texted Sarah. "Hey, just checking. Did Carla make it to your place okay? I haven't heard from her." I wasn't mad, not yet. Just that quiet kind of worried. Like something wasn't adding up, and my brain couldn't quite figure out what. Then, 8:45, Carla finally walked in. A little flushed, hair a bit messy, but beaming. There was this weird, jittery energy about her. Not tired, not casual, kinda wired. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, baby," she said, tossing her purse on the counter like nothing had happened. Carla leaned in, gave me this quick kiss on the cheek. Not real, not warm. We just started talking, lost track of time. Then we grabbed a bite. You know how it goes. "Okay," I said, keeping it calm. "Just next time, shoot me a text or something, all right?" I was starting to worry. Carla nodded, already halfway down the hall. Couple minutes later, I'm pulling leftovers from the fridge. My phone buzzes, a text from Sarah. "Sorry, couldn't make it to the venue today. Something came up last minute, didn't see Carla at all tonight. Hope everything's okay." The air in the kitchen suddenly felt thinner, like I couldn't get a full breath. My blood ran cold. I looked over at Carla. She was humming to herself, pouring a glass of wine, completely relaxed, like everything was fine. Like she hadn't just fed me a blatant lie without flinching. "Sarah just texted," I said, keeping my voice flat. "Said she didn't see you tonight. Said she couldn't make it to the venue." She froze mid-pour, still facing the counter. 1 long second passed. Then she turned, tried to laugh it off, nervous, high-pitched. "Oh, silly Sarah, she's probably just confused. We definitely met up." "Weird, right?" She took a long sip, her eyes dodging mine. "Gotta run upstairs for a sec," she added too fast, already moving, disappearing down the hallway. I just stood there, staring at the doorway. My gut was screaming. I've never been the jealous or snooping type. I believe in privacy, in trust. But this was different. This wasn't just bad timing or a simple misunderstanding. This felt like a setup, a cover-up. While Carla was upstairs, I broke a promise I'd always kept. I picked up her phone from the counter. Guessed the passcode. Her birthday. Easy. Too easy. She always was selfish. I went straight to her call log, then her texts. I don't regret it. Not even a little. Right there. Top of the list. A short call to Sarah made just after she left the kitchen. Probably a quick panic call. Trying to get their story straight. Then I saw another call, one that stopped me cold. Earlier that afternoon, while she was driving to the venue, she'd been on the phone for over an hour. The number wasn't saved. Local area code, no name, just a string of digits. And suddenly, I wasn't just suspicious, I was sure. When Carla came back downstairs, she was all calm and casual. Too calm. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just lied and made a run for it. I played along. "So, what rental place did Sarah use?" I asked casually, like it was no big deal. I didn't look up from rinsing my mug, just let the question hang there like background noise. "The one by the airport or the one downtown?" I added, like I was just trying to picture the route in my head. Carla barely hesitated. Downtown, she said. That little place by the gas station on 4th. It was cheaper, she said. I nodded slowly. Makes sense. I set the mug on the rack, kept my back turned just long enough to hide the way I was watching her reflection in the microwave door. I kept going. Did she have to wait long? I've heard that location's understaffed lately. No, not really, she said. She said they were actually super quick. She was in and out. Nice. What car did she rent? A Corolla, I think. Or maybe a Camry. One of those. I turned and leaned against the counter, sipping my coffee, pretending to think. But really, I was studying her. Her hands, her posture, her eyes. She was calm, too calm. Not a single pause. Not a single or stutter. Just smooth, confident answers, one after the other. They were the kind of answers that come rehearsed. And yet, a tiny part of me, buried somewhere beneath the creeping certainty, wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that Sarah was confused, that I was stressed and imagining things, that this was just a bump, a misread, nothing more. But the part of me that had picked up her phone the night before, the part that had seen the call log, seen the lies stack up in real time, that part was wide awake, watching, taking notes, waiting for her to slip. And the truth was, she wasn't slipping, not yet. She was hitting every mark like someone who had something to hide and had studied hard to keep it hidden. And for a second, I let myself question everything. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe Sarah just had her nights mixed up. Maybe that unknown number was some boring work call Carla forgot to mention. I told myself to let it go, sleep on it, but when morning came, the doubt was gone. What was left was a heavy, settled certainty. She was lying about something big. Over coffee, I kept it light. No heat, just curiosity. Hey, I said, not looking up from my mug. About yesterday. If you can show me the text from Sarah asking for that pickup, I'll back off completely. My bad. Just been stressed, you know. Wedding and all. She didn't even blink, just looked up from her phone, dead serious. No, she said, flat. I don't need to prove anything to you. You either trust me or you don't. All right, different angle. When I saw you yesterday on the way to the venue, you were on the phone, long call. Who was that? I caught something in her face. A flicker, maybe panic. She covered it fast. Oh, that was Sarah, she said. We were just lining up the pickup time. Wrong move. She'd already claimed they met up later. She forgot her own lie. That's funny, I said quietly. My voice had changed now, lower, sharper. Because I looked at your call history last night, that wasn't Sarah. And just like that, the color drained from her face. You went through my phone? She hissed, voice laced with poison. How dare you? How dare I snapped back, that last bit of patience cracking in my chest. You lied to my face more than once, and I'm the problem for trying to figure out the truth. I took a breath. Didn't yell, just stared at her. So, tell me, Carla, who were you really talking to? Cornered, Carla changed her story again, faster this time. Okay, fine. It was a coworker, Michael, from the new job. We needed to discuss a difficult patient case, confidential. Couldn't talk about it over the phone. A coworker? Michael? Something about the name, the way she said it felt significant. And you had to meet him in person, halfway to our wedding venue for an hour, to discuss this confidential case that couldn't be handled over the phone. The day before your supposed girls' weekend? The holes in her story were getting bigger, sloppier. What kind of techniques did you need to show him in person exactly that couldn't be described verbally or, God forbid, demonstrated at the actual workplace during working hours? I don't have to explain myself to you, she snapped, her voice rising. You're being paranoid and controlling? Am I? I pressed, relentless now. Or are you having an affair? Is that it? Do you even want to get married next week? Or is this whole thing a sham? We never lied to each other. That had been our mantra, our foundation. A foundation now crumbling to dust beneath my feet. Let me see the text with Michael then. If it's just work, just a patient case. There's nothing to hide, right? She refused, adamantly. For nearly half an hour, we argued, her voice escalating into accusations, me pushing, probing, demanding. My supposed flaws were paraded. I work too much. I don't spend enough quality time with her. I don't listen. I'm not emotionally available. Carla stood across from me, arms crossed, defensive as hell. Her eyes flicked toward her phone on the counter, then back to me. You keep pushing, she said, voice rising. Fine. You want the truth? I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. She exhaled, eyes glassy now. Yes, okay, it happened. Michael and we were together. Once. That's it. She said it like she was doing me a favor, like ripping off a Band-Aid. It was a mistake, okay? She rushed on. I was confused. He showed up at work out of nowhere and it caught me off guard. It brought back things. But I told him yesterday it's over. I met with him just to say that. I swear. I stood still, jaw tight, staring at her. Austin, please, she said, stepping forward. It was one stupid, emotional mistake. It's not who I am. I was scared, but I want us. I want this wedding. I shook my head once. Just once. Slow. You had every chance to tell me, I said, voice low. To be honest, but you lied over and over. I didn't know how to. No, I cut her off. You knew. You just didn't want to lose the wedding, the money, the house, the story you've been telling everyone. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't speak, just stood there. You let me sit across the table from you and plan a future while you were sneaking around behind my back, I said. And now that it's slipping through your fingers, now you're sorry. I am sorry, she whispered. I didn't yell, didn't explode. I just felt empty. While I was tracking every dollar, cutting corners, stretching our budget so we could afford the ridiculous wedding she insisted on. We owned a house together, good-sized place on 3 acres, bought mostly so she could board that horse she swore made her feel centered. 3 rescue dogs, too. Our little crew, our family. All of it. A lie. You broke something, Carla. Something you don't get to fix. I wouldn't have started talking to Michael if you just listened to me, she'd say. Like that explained anything. Like that made any of it okay. Funny thing is, she never once actually told me she was unhappy. Not before, not during, not once. She stepped toward me again, but I was already walking away. I grabbed my keys off the hook by the door. Austin, don't, she pleaded. Please, we can get through this. I paused in the doorway, looked at her one last time. We had 7 years, 3 dogs, a home. I thought we were building something real. I swallowed hard. Turns out it was just me holding it together. And I left. I texted Keith on the way out, just one word. Coming. 15 minutes later, I was crashing on his couch with a beer in my hand and too many thoughts in my head. He didn't ask questions right away, just gave me space, like he always did. Keith and I went way back. High school, then roommates for a couple years after college. The kind of guy who said more with silence than most people did with a speech. He worked in IT, hated drama, and had this weird talent for fixing everything except his own love life. When I walked through his door, he just nodded once, pointed to the fridge, and let me fall apart in peace. I didn't speak for a while, just sat there in the quiet, the soft buzz of the kitchen light and the occasional creak of the old couch, filling the space between us. Keith looked over. No surprise on his face, just that slow, quiet kind of understanding that only real friends offer. Want to talk about it now or later? He asked. I shook my head. Tomorrow. Beer's cold. Blankets on the back of the couch, he said, getting up. Bathroom still doesn't lock right. You remember? I gave a tired half smile. Thanks, man. He disappeared down the hallway without another word. And I sat there in the dark, beer going warm in my hand, staring at nothing, trying to figure out what the hell came next. The next morning, just after 9, I called Sarah. I didn't want to get into everything over the phone. I just said, hey, can we meet? Somewhere quiet. I need to ask you something, face to face. She hesitated, then said, okay, the park by Main Street? I got there early and waited by the pond, hands in my jacket pockets. It was one of those cool, gray mornings where everything feels heavier than it should. Sarah showed up a few minutes later, looking unsure, like she already knew something was wrong. Hey, I said, nodding. Hey, she replied quietly. What's going on? I got straight to it. I just need you to be honest with me. No pressure, no drama, just the truth. She looked at me carefully, her eyes tightening a little. Okay. Friday night, I said. You didn't see Carla, right? Sarah shook her head slowly. I like you, Austin. You're a good guy. I don't want to lie to you. I haven't seen Carla in weeks. I didn't say anything. Just let the silence hang between us while people jogged past and ducks paddled lazily by the edge of the water. Just tell me the truth, I said finally. Sarah nodded slowly. Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know all the details, but a few weeks ago she mentioned someone from her past, some old boyfriend. Said it was unexpected and complicated. I thought she was just being dramatic. I didn't say a word, just waited. She didn't go into detail, but I remember the look in her eyes. It was like she was somewhere else. She even joked, said maybe the universe was giving her a second chance. Did she say a name? I asked, though I already knew. Sarah hesitated. Michael, I think. I only heard it once. There it was. She changed after that. Sarah continued. Started flaking on plans, getting defensive when I asked about work. And then, that night, when she used my name, that's what really got me. She could have just said she was out, but dragging me into it like that? It felt wrong. I nodded slowly, feeling it all settle in my chest like cement. She lied to me, I said quietly. Used you as cover. Sarah looked truly sorry. Yeah, and I didn't know until you called. I never agreed to that. If I had, I would have said no. I looked at her for a moment, grateful and angry at the same time. Not at her, just at everything. Thanks for being straight with me, I said. I'm sorry, Austin, she said again. For what it's worth, I really hope you're okay. I will be, I said. Eventually. We stood there for a few more seconds, then went our separate ways. That evening, back on Keith's couch, I finally spoke. She cheated on me, I said quietly, staring at the half-empty bottle in front of me. With some guy from her past, Michael. Keith didn't flinch. He just nodded slowly, letting me talk. She told me it was just once, that she met up with him to end it. I paused. But I don't buy it, not for a second. Keith leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You think it's still going on? I know it is, I said. She's lying through her teeth, and I want to catch her. Not to yell, not to confront her. He gave me a look. You want proof? I nodded. I want a revenge. I want her to see what it feels like when the lights come on. I want to watch her world collapse the way she collapsed mine. Keith was quiet for a beat. What do you want me to do? I need eyes. On her. On them. I don't know when they're meeting or where, but she's not going to stop. She'll try to be careful now, which is why I need someone else watching. You want me to follow her, he said slowly. Yeah, and film it. If they meet up again, I need it on record. Keith rubbed a hand over his face. Man, this is some serious stuff. I wouldn't ask if I had anyone else. I need this, Keith, he sighed. All right, I'll do it. Just tell me when. Over the next 2 days, I kept things calm with Carla. No fights, no questions, just distance. Cold distance. She blew up my phone. Calls, texts, voicemails that bounced between angry, desperate, and tearful. What's about us? What's about our wedding? I didn't answer, not once. But late Wednesday night, I finally picked up. Hey, I said flatly. There was a beat of silence on the other end, like she wasn't sure it was really me. Then came her voice, small and breathless. Austin, thank God. Can we talk, please? I don't care when or where. I need to talk. I paused for effect, then said, tomorrow night, your place. Make it calm. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I'll be ready. What she didn't know was that while she was prepping her apology, Keith was already playing shadow. He'd borrowed a coworker's car, swapped jackets, even trimmed his beard. I gave him Carla's weekly routine, or at least what she told me it was, and he started tracking her movements. He didn't have to wait long. Thursday afternoon, just hours before our talk, I got the message. They're together. Got them walking into a motel on 12th. Got video. I'll send when I'm clear. I didn't even flinch. I'd already braced for it. The pain had passed. What was left now was cold, clear focus, the kind you feel right before a kill shot. That night, Carla made dinner, candlelit, cheap wine, like she was trying to turn the clock back a year, pretending nothing had happened. She sat across from me, nervous, trying to hold it together. I want us back, she said. I know I messed up, but I meant what I said. It's over with him. Yeah? I asked, voice flat, eyes on hers. She nodded hard. I blocked his number. Deleted everything? I swear on my life. I was confused and I acted stupid, but I know where I belong. I know who I love. I didn't look away. So there's nothing between you and Michael anymore? Nothing, she said, firm. It was a one-time thing. I ended it. That's the truth. I let silence stretch. Then I said, okay. Her eyes widened slightly. Okay. I nodded. Let's do it. Let's go through with the wedding. Tears filled her eyes. Relief, gratitude. Whatever it wasn't real. She reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "Thank you," she whispered. "I promise I'll make it right." I smiled gently, but inside, something cold was shifting into place. Because what she didn't know is that I already had the footage. I already had the plan, and I was going to make sure that when her big moment came, white dress, music, everyone she ever cared about in one place, she'd get exactly what she deserved. Publicly, completely, final. Saturday, the wedding day. Sun shining, birds chirping, all the usual cliches, laid out like set dressing for a play I no longer believed in. I stood at the altar in a rented tux that fit too well for a man about to detonate his own wedding, smiling just enough, nervous just enough, a perfectly convincing groom. Carla's side of the church was packed. Family, childhood friends, co-workers from the new job, smiling wide, and among them, Michael, sitting 2 rows back in a dark gray suit, expression unreadable, like this was just another meeting on his schedule. My side, quieter, smaller, a few friends, a couple cousins, Keith, seated near the back, nodding once when our eyes met. The organ swelled, and then she appeared, Carla, gliding down the aisle on her father's arm, like a page torn from a bridal magazine. White lace, veil just right, a smile so perfectly shaped it could have fooled a stranger, but not me. We met at the altar. She looked at me like she was already imagining the photos, the applause, the honeymoon. I just stared back. The minister began. We stood, we smiled. We played our parts. She said her vows first. Her voice was clear, steady, overflowing with pretend sincerity. Then came my turn. I took a breath, not because I needed it, but because I wanted that second of quiet. Then I looked into her eyes I used to trust, and I began. Austin, I said, my voice carrying easily through the hush, thought I understood love, thought I understood trust, thought I understood the woman standing across from me. I paused. People shifted in their seats. But this week, I've learned some things. And before we continue with these traditional vows, I think it's only fair that we share a bit of truth, especially with Carla's family. I reached into my jacket. Not a ring, my phone, and a small Bluetooth speaker. Carla's smile faltered. "Let's all listen to what the bride-to-be had to say," I said. I hit play. Her voice exploded into the church, clear, cocky, cruel. "He doesn't have a clue," Carla's voice continued. "I just need to get through this wedding. Lock down the house, the image, then we'll figure the rest out." Gasps, whispers, heads turning. "She said that 2 days ago," I told them. "In a motel parking lot, with him." All eyes turned toward Michael. Someone in the back stood up. Carla's cousin, maybe, pointing. "Is that him?" Michael stood, or tried to. The eyes on him burned like spotlights. "Carla?" She stood frozen, eyes locked on mine, mouth open but no sound. The blood had left her face, and still the voice kept going. About me, about Michael, about the game she was playing. When the clip ended, silence fell hard. Then one soft, broken sob, from her mother. I let the quiet stretch, then looked back at Carla. "This is the woman I was about to marry," I said. "A liar, a manipulator, someone who turned a wedding into a weapon." I faced the crowd. "To all of you, her family, her friends, I hope you were as fooled as I was. But now you know. And now this wedding," I turned back to her, "is over." "That," I announced, my voice ringing with cold, hard clarity, "was my fiancée discussing her true feelings, her true intentions, just 2 nights ago, with her best friend, oblivious to the fact that every word was being recorded." I then proceeded, calmly, methodically, to lay out the rest of it. The lies about Sarah, the secret meetings with Michael, the texts, the phone records, the GPS data, every sordid, humiliating detail, presented not with rage, but with the detached precision of a prosecutor delivering an irrefutable closing argument. When I finally stopped speaking, she broke. A desperate, ragged cry escaped her. "No, it's not what it sounds like. Austin, I love you. Michael, he hurt me a long time ago. She choked on the words. "I wanted to make him pay, to make him want me, then crush him, like he did to me. It was never about him. It was about closure." She stepped toward me, hands trembling. "I was always going to marry you. That was the plan. You were the plan. I stared at her, cold, empty. Your plan? I said, my voice like ice. Your plan was a 6-week affair with your ex. Talking trash about me to the guy you were sleeping with. Lying to my face every day, and then what? Expecting me to smile through it? Be your emotional support while you worked through some revenge fantasy in hotel rooms? She flinched. You think that's love, Carla? You think that's commitment? I shook my head slowly. No, that's not love. That's dysfunction dressed in white. The silence in the church was heavy. No one moved. I'm not your safety net, not your backup plan, and not your emotional rehab. Her parents, to their credit, didn't hesitate. Her father's face was stone. No confusion, no doubt. Just cold fury. First, he stepped toward Carla, grabbed her arm in a bruising grip, and yanked her away from the altar. She stumbled, sobbing, trying to explain, but he wasn't listening. He dragged her down the aisle like a disgraced child, her veil slipping, guests turning away in discomfort. Her mother followed behind, head bowed, weeping openly. But it didn't end there. Just as they passed the second row, Michael tried to quietly slip out the opposite side. He kept his head down, trying to avoid attention. He didn't make it. Carla's father turned, spotted him, and crossed the aisle with terrifying speed. You! He growled, voice low but carrying. Then crack! His fist landed square across Michael's jaw. The room gasped. Michael went down hard, crashing into the end of a pew, stunned and bleeding. 2 groomsmen jumped in to pull her father back while someone shouted for security. People scrambled. Some guests rushed to leave. Others pulled out phones. It was chaos, violent, raw, unforgettable. The wedding had officially become a scandal of epic proportions. The kind that gets whispered about for years. The kind that turns into town legend. And I just stood there calm, watching it all burn, exactly as planned. The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect from someone like Carla. Ugly, cold, messy. We met at her lawyer's office. She walked in acting wounded, like I was the one who blew everything up. Like she hadn't detonated our relationship weeks before I ever pressed play at the altar. I'm not paying you a cent, she said flatly, arms folded across her chest. You embarrassed me in front of everyone I care about. I leaned forward, calm, controlled. You embarrassed yourself, Carla. I just stopped the show. She rolled her eyes. You ambushed me at the altar like a lunatic. I kept my voice even. You cheated. For weeks. Lied to my face, mocked me behind my back. You knew exactly what you were doing every time you tried on a dress or picked out a flower arrangement while you were sneaking off to motels with him. This wasn't a wedding. It was a con. She didn't reply. I paid for the venue, the food, the band, thousands. And you were planning to walk down that aisle like nothing happened. She crossed her legs slowly. You can't prove intent. I can prove everything else. And I'm not asking you to pay for the whole disaster. Just your half of what you let me fund while you were laughing behind my back, she glared. So that's what this is? You want me to pay for your little revenge party? I leaned back, staring straight at her. No, Carla. I want you to pay for the wedding you never intended to finish. She leaned back, mouth twisting. Fine. You want to nickel and dime it? Then I'll fight for the dogs. I stared at her, and something inside me went still. You wouldn't, I said. Her tone was ice. Try me. I'll demand one, maybe 2. Split them if I have to. Max, Bella, Charlie, our 3 dogs, litter mates, inseparable since they were 10 weeks old. The only good thing we ever built together. The thought of them pulled apart, used as leverage in her games, unforgivable. I walked out of that office without another word. I had a new plan for her. 2 days later, while Carla was out meeting with her lawyer, more likely drinking white wine with some friend who still hadn't heard the recording, Keith backed his truck into my driveway. We loaded their beds, their food, their toys. The dogs jumped in, tails wagging, no clue how much was at stake. My cousin Ben owned a farm 2 states over, 60 acres of freedom, trees, a pond, no fences, no threats. Heaven. I left them there with a fat check and a promise to visit often. When I got back, I sent Carla a text. Dogs are gone. I left the back door open by accident. They must have slipped out while I was outside. I've called the shelters. She called me 3 times. I didn't pick up. Her final message came through in all caps. You're lying. I never responded. Because at that point, I'd told enough lies to survive hers. The difference was, mine had a purpose. I didn't do it to hurt her. I did it to protect what mattered. And for once, I didn't feel guilty about a thing. We weren't married. That's the part she kept clinging to, like it gave her the upper hand. No divorce meant no spousal support, no alimony, no court-mandated split of assets. But we did own a house together. Bought it 2 years ago. Joint mortgage, both names on the deed. And I had the receipts, literal and metaphorical, for every dime I poured into our wedding that wasn't. So I filed a civil suit. Not out of spite, out of principle. She sat across the courtroom in a charcoal suit, legs crossed, jaw tight. Her lawyer, a smirking little parasite who probably specialized in talking rich divorcees out of parking tickets, looked bored. But I wasn't here to entertain them. I'm requesting 2 things, my lawyer began, voice steady. 1. The court orders an equitable division of the jointly owned property. 2. Reimbursement for half the non-refundable wedding expenses paid in advance by my client, which total $12,840.32. We have invoices, receipts, and a full breakdown. Carla's lawyer stood up, already smug. Your Honor, these 2 were never married. There is no legal obligation for my client to reimburse funds spent voluntarily by Mr. Reyes. The judge, a seasoned woman with a sharp gaze and no time for theatrics, raised a hand. They cohabited. They jointly purchased a home. That opens the door to equitable considerations. Continue. He tried again. The wedding was canceled due to Mr. Reyes's own actions. He chose to expose personal grievances in a very public, very destructive way. I exposed the truth, I said, cutting in before my lawyer could stop me. I didn't end the wedding. She did, the moment she chose to carry on a secret affair while we were signing contracts and choosing linens. Carla stiffened, color rising in her face. The judge nodded. You'll have your turn, Mr. Reyes, but your point is noted. My lawyer slid forward a folder. We also submit evidence of a joint email chain confirming both parties agreed to share wedding costs equally. All deposits were paid from Mr. Reyes's personal accounts. The judge glanced through the file, then looked up. Miss Jensen, she said, addressing Carla, did you, or did you not, agree to share financial responsibility for the event? Carla cleared her throat. We discussed it, but no formal agreement was signed. Yet you participated in vendor meetings, signed off on service contracts, and enjoyed full knowledge of the expenses? Yes. Very well, the judge said. As for the house, this court will order it to be sold. Profits are to be split equally after paying off the mortgage and relevant costs. Mr. Reyes will receive documented reimbursement for the wedding expenses. This court considers those funds recoverable under implied contract. Her lawyer leaned in, whispering. She didn't move. The judge's gavel hit once. That was it. 12 minutes after it started, it was done. She didn't even look at me as she walked out, head high, back stiff, her lawyer following behind, already on the phone. I watched her go, and just like that, no vows, no ring, no more lies. She was out of my life, thanks God.